I am very excited about our next guest. We will find out where he is fishing in here in a few seconds, but I thought he was going to be our first interview in the tree stand, but that's all right. We'll do that another time. He is just coming off the BPT. He's had 2 top 10s, 5 top 20s, and he was a Red Crest qualifier. His sponsors include Angler's Choice, Lowrance, Power Pole, Ranger Boats, Douglas, Rob Construction, EDF Renewables. I apologize if I say this wrong. Team Splicing Glass and Bricks and Stones. This is Martin Villa. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. For all you guys watching, this is my favorite YouTuber that I watch. So it's a privilege to be here. You know,
I appreciate that.
Very likable guy, great personality. You know, it's a fine line between treading the clickbait and being just a normal guy. And you get it all right here. So
I appreciate that. Okay, before we even get started, because what can you tell everybody you texted me the best photo of all time? You're out in the tree stand. I thought, oh my gosh, we're gonna and my brain is going, please, for the love of God, let something giant walk by while he's talking to me that he has to completely stop everything.
Hold on a second. Yeah, it's rifle season here in Virginia too. Actually, I was texting you. I was texting you and a group of turkeys come by, and I didn't want to spook them. I hope they come by on Thanksgiving Day. We're allowed to kill them then. And then, of course, you know, who doesn't love spring gobbler season? So, you know, I don't want to kill a gobbler for Thanksgiving, but one of those nice hens come by, you know. So anyways, that's just part of being a hunter, is trying to get in and get out of the woods without being detected. And I know that if we ran on with this conversation, every animal around would know where I was sitting.
And you're one of these people, you love the outdoors, don't you?
Oh yeah, I'm made up with it. You know, I love tournament angling. I love bass angling. I'm a big fly fisherman. I live in Virginia. I'll put my neck out and say that we have the best fishery in the country, in the lower 48 states. And that's the Chesapeake Bay watershed. You know, that includes, you know, and I mean, Maryland claims it too. But you got to realize the watersheds that we have here between, you know, all our tidal waters, you know, the mighty Susquehanna itself, you know, that's not a Virginia river, but that's the top northernmost river in the bay. I mean, pre-Gobies, these rivers here, like the Shenandoah River, you know, it took a massive fish kill 20 some years ago, but that was one of the best smallmouth fisheries in the country. But between the Potomac, the James, and there's the smaller rivers are actually probably better than the big tournament rivers. They don't get the attention, and they're factories. But as you work your way into the bay, then it becomes a saltwater world. The cobia come to us to spawn. We have the best cobia fishing in the world. And
did you fly for it? Do you go fly?
Oh yeah,
fly fishing?
I love that. Look, my favorite fish. If you guys get time, you should go back and watch. It's a Sears and Roebuck. And it was Ted Williams, the ball player, and he moved to New Brunswick. And I have a cabin on the same river, and that's where my family's from. Actually, this hat right here is my uncle's salmon guide hat. That's his last guide pin, nice. Bill McKay. But anyways, he said something that really resonated with me a long time ago, and he said that I don't know a single guy who hasn't fished for all of these species, like great sport fish. You know, talking tarpon, bonefish. Yeah. And said that if you only had one fish to fish for, it would be the Atlantic salmon. I'm addicted to Atlantic salmon angling. I can talk for days. I usually go on a YouTube binge all winter, you know, just watching all the videos that people put out. And so, you know, whether it's salmon angling, bass angling, or in a tree stand, you know, that's what it's you know, being outdoors is part of being about being a man and part about being American. And that's not just for men, it's women, kids, and everything. And I love taking my children hunting. And, you know, the tournament angling, you know, there's a phrase that I guess James Watson probably branded this too, is it's our crack. And I agree. And so, like, that's one of the reasons why, probably the reason why the sport still fully exists the way it does. But I go on a non-bass fishing binge there this time of year. And so I take a break from my drug for a few months, recharge my internal batteries and my love for it. And then usually around the turn of the year, I'm ready.
It all acts up. How did you get introduced into the outdoors? Was it your dad when you were younger? Who taught you how to
Man,
fish and everything?
so my mother caught me in the back of her truck pulling cotton balls out of a pillow and making flies with it.
Shut up.
And yes, and I was like, I can remember this. So it was like 4 or 5-ish. I do remember it. And my grandfather, like my grandmother's side's from Canada. My grandparents are from Canada. My grandfather was a great fly fisherman, a salmon angler. And so he said, well, we have to get that boy a fly tying device. And so I was a purist fly fisherman, held my nose up to the dirty conventional gear for a long time. But I will say my grandfather was the one. He taught me how to fly cast. He taught me about guide, and he taught me about a lot of things. And I mean, I miss him to this day. And but it's something that we have to pass on. The world is so modern it is now. I try to instill these old fashioned values in my kids. There's a lot. I tell like my oldest is like, Daddy, I don't want to go hunting. And I was like, well, son, there's a lot of things you're not going to want to do as a man. I said, you don't want to go out and weed that garden either, do you? He said, no. I said, isn't hunting a lot more fun than that? He said, yeah. So it's just I'm gonna raise them old fashioned, and then the modern world will have its own time to corrupt them when that time comes.
Dude, that is the best thing I've heard in ages. That's the God's honest truth.
I thank you, man. That's just how it is, man. Us bass fishing, we're just down to earth people. Like I said, I'm a blue collar bass fishing man.
Yeah, that I love. Okay, so you got started because I don't think people even realize I love fly fishing. I love
Oh
fly
yeah,
fishing, but I'm
I made up with it.
a snook and bone fisherman. Those are my that's it. Are
Our
you still
cobia fly fishing is world class.
yeah. Are you still throw the whippy rod to the limp
Oh yeah,
rod?
I mean, that's all I've been doing all fall between that and hunting. I had took my boat to get the little after Saginaw Bay, where you're fishing in a fishery this deep.
Yeah.
uh, so I took it off to get the little nooks and crannies, because I want to get rid of them. I want them to be top tier. I don't want somebody to be like, man, don't ever buy Martin's boat.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So it was a tough thing to do. It cost me the opportunity at the Toyota the Potomac that Brian Schmidt won. I mean, and I got to give a shout out to him. I mean, that dude's probably the greatest grass bass fisherman. If the elites had 9 bass tournaments with no scope or no active target, Lawrence, he would win hands down.
Yeah.
But I missed that. I like to show up for a random BFL or two just to stay back to your roots. I love fishing with a co-angler. I'm a talker. My marshals on the Bass Pro Tour are like, hey man, just tell me to be quiet. I'm like, dude, you're going to tell me to be quiet. I'm out here to have fun. That's just what it is. If you're not having fun, you better find something else to do.
So, when you're looking into this season and let me just back up. How much stress is it that you had on you this season to attempt to requalify for the BPT? How much does that change the way you're fishing?
Well, that can change everything. And, I had a buddy of mine, one of my best fishing buddies, Great Buck. He was like right there to qualify for leads.
Yes.
And you could cut the stress with a knife. And that right there will cause you to implode. I mean, it'll cause you just to not think. And then once you kind of sit back and you look at it, then you're like, oh my God, I should have done all this. I knew that I was not going to fish 2026 Bass Pro Tour. At Heavy Hitters, I'd found out they were going to 25 chicks. Mm-hmm. You are talking to a blue collar bass fisherman. Numbers mean something to me. And look, the bar at the Bass Pro Tour level at that format is stupid high and it's raising. And the 50 guys that are there now, there's 45 of them that know exactly how high that bar is. And they're going to prepare even that much more. It's creating a group of excellent, efficient anglers. Now, the every fish catch format is not the same thing as the 5 fish thing. The cool thing about the 5 fish is the bar. You just got to find the biggest ones. As we're the every fish catch format, certain ways you fish there, you can just ball up and throw them out the window. And that's why you saw guys leaving. But me, when I found out those 25 checks, there was even rumors it was going to $50,000 in entry fees. I found that through Bobby Lane, actually. We were at the gas station. He said, Martin, I hurt your feelings, didn't I? And I said, yeah, you did. And I kind of right then and there knew that I was like, if that's really true, that I was not going to be there in 2026. Now, don't get it twisted. I didn't want to suck. Nobody wants to suck.
Mhm.
And you know, we all want to requalify. I wanted it to be my choice. However, you know, one of my good buddies, Fletcher Shyrock, he said something very wise to me multiple times during the year. He said, Martin, maybe the best thing for me, and he was talking about himself, not me, is to get cut because I'm too foolish not to fish it. And I kind of agreed with him. I look at it as a blessing. You know, getting punched in your mouth kind of makes you check yourself anyways. You know, and look, man, those guys are machines. And part of me, a lot of me really wants to be there. I kind of like the idea of like both, like a kind of a hybrid MLF five fish thing. Like to me, that would be better than the every fish catch format. I see why people don't watch it, and I see why people do watch it. Those two endings last year when Justin Cooper won that one, and was it Jake Lawrence?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't ask for a more suspenseful
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can only get that at that MLF catch. But there's also the other side of, you know, the five fish format, the storyline. You know, one of my roommate Ron of the year, and look, Ron's one of the best anglers I've ever met. And if you take the sonar away, five fish derb, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, that guy separates himself. And you know, I like picking his brain. He picked my brain. We fished the last team series event I fished with him. And I'll tell you honestly, that's the thing that I'm gonna miss the most. MLF 1.0 pretty much exists in the team series. That raw, just show up, you don't know where you're going. And that's what brought me to the MLF was the, you know, seeing these guys go on these couple 1,000-acre lakes that nobody fished. You know, the Bass Pro Tour this year, we fished 4 TVAs. And kudos to those guys. Those TVAs are awesome. I still think the Tennessee River is probably hands down the best all-around bass fishery in the country because it has double-digit largemouth and it has 8-pound smallmouth. You're not finding that in there's only a handful of fisheries that have that, and the whole entire TVA system has that.
Yeah.
So, but you know, MLF 1.0, you're going to places you don't know. Now back to you're coming to somebody else's home turf. You can come to my home turf and still beat me because I'm an underprepared fisherman when it comes to that. I'm not on the Potomac. I'm not on James all the time. We got kids, but come time, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play ball. I thought about going back and requalifying for it. But ultimately, you know, I feel like that the page has turned for me. I love MLF, and I'm still on the fence of fishing the tackle warehouse. The problem is that, you know, a few of you guys know that I am going to the NPFL. And the NPFL, everybody I've talked to, whether they're Bass Pro Tour anglers, just the tackle warehouse tour guys that went into there, and the Bassmaster Elite guys, say that it's the best run tournament they fished. All right, so the NPFL, it's kind of like the car industry. You know, I'm 42 now. We grew up on American muscle. That was the thing, you know. Chevy, Dodge, you know, it was Hemis and 350s. And, you know, the EPA came in and all little sensors, and now they drop you off this so-called muscle car that you pull one plug out and the thing doesn't even work. And then it's like all of a sudden, let's say Ford just showed up out of nowhere. Bam, dropped a GT 5.0 that just runs off fuel and air. That's the NPFL. They brought the muscle car back to America. And now we're already just a wah, wah, wah. And that's how I look at it. Yeah. So anyways, like the NPFL, man, it's like, it's trending. And there's rumors that they're going to make a cut to 100. And if that's the case, how do you get in? And, you know, there could, if that really happens, there could be 15 phenomenal anglers trying to get in, and they're not going to all get in. And so, you know, the question that I really have been pondering on here lately is it the platform that's making the anglers, or is it the anglers that are making the platform? It's a great title
Great
for your
question.
great title for your show. And you know, it seems that I have rumors that there's endemics that have went to the NPFL. I heard their sponsorship dollars have increased pretty substantially. It seems like it's movement towards it. And is the NPFL any better or worse than any of the other ones? I don't know. I haven't fished it. However,
Mhm.
the names that are coming to that NPFL, and I'm not counting myself as that. I'm just saying the names uh, have seemed like have solidified that platform. And you know, modern day social media, the whole entire, like we're all building our brands, right?
Yes.
Me, not so much as good as everybody else. You know, I've got kids and work, you know, the whole 9 yards. So you get what you put in on that goes. But one of the problems I see with professional bass fishing is that you don't have to go to MLF or Bassmasters or the NPFL to watch your favorite pro. You just go to his channel. And so, like, you probably know the numbers better than I do. There's maybe like 50,000 real bass nerds across, and I'm one of those bass nerds across the country that are just willing to consume everything that is all professional bass fishing.
Mhm.
And, you know, watching tournaments after they've been, you know, 5 months later, that's one of our biggest problems with our sport. And what the NPFL did, they just kind of like made a stance, whether you are for or against forward shooting sonar, they made a decision. I'm addicted to my active target. I'm a jig and minnow addict. However, I'm 42 years old. I grew up fishing tidal waters. I see both sides of this.
Mhm.
And I don't think, I mean, obviously, it seems like the certain groups in the industry didn't want this to happen, but I thank the NPFL, Brad, and them for doing this. And obviously, it's worked because Bassmasters has gone to 5-4.
Mhm.
To me, they didn't. I just from somebody looking on the outside, I love watching bass. They didn't. Bassmasters to me did not want to do that, and it kind of NPFL kind of forced their hands. So the group of anglers that have come there to make that platform, you know, I know MLF and Bass seem like they were the ones that dictated everything in the industry. Like perfect example. You know why there's not rod holders on every bass boat? It's because Bassmasters do not allow trolling. You know why there's not an aqua view on everybody's boat? It's because that underwater camera was not allowed. And so the NPFL, with that group of anglers and bringing all their fans to it, all of a sudden became a market mover. And so to me, I want to be a part of that. And 6 tournaments is not enough for somebody like this. I'm fishing something else. I can't decide whether I'm fishing the open division that I can fish that doesn't collide with it, or the tackle warehouse. I'm not going to be able to fish the tackle warehouse and the NPFL and finish both because they collide in July.
Yeah.
And I mean, kudos for Brad and them for trying to make all that work. I mean, ultimately, you can't make everybody happy. And so, like, I just, between all the schedules and everything, it just seemed like this was meant for me for this year. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of anglers from Bass, there's a lot of anglers out there that I kind of question their old school ability. No, they came over there and contended, and they shut a lot of people up, including me. And
It,
I feel like it's a great way to solidify your all aroundness over there at the NPFL.
I agree. I think what they did last year with prohibiting forward facing sonar, or this year prohibiting forward facing sonar, was, I've said it a million times, was genius. It's a different way of fishing for some anglers. Some people don't like it, some people like it. I think the MPFL is still in that, I don't mean to be mean, that infancy of what they're doing. And I know that
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that really enjoy what they're putting out. And I respect it. They are not fans of me. We should be very clear on this. They have banned me from doing any media at
Yeah,
their
yeah.
thing.
I didn't know that. I mean, look, it's I
It's
ultimately
unfortunate that I don't mean to be give I do. I try to be humble and honest on this channel. I try to give you my opinion and what I see as a fan, and that might not line up. I do
what did
think
you say that bothered him? I'm curious now.
so. I did that video about Brad's statement about to thrive and to survive. And
Got
I
you.
quoted Brad's statement, and they felt like I should be going to them and getting another statement, even though I was quoting what they were doing,
I got
what
you.
he had said.
Yeah, that's the problem with the internet. You
You
know,
know,
I,
I mean, to each his own.
I,
Like
I
I
agree.
said,
And I mean, when you become a public uh, person,
yeah,
that comes and goes. I remember my first YouTube video I put out. It was me catching these little teeny little brook trout, and for all the purists out there, they were fingerlings. They weren't natives. I know the difference. I know how precious our wild brook trout are.
yeah.
And I did a little fish taco video. And man, the hate comments that came in there at first, there was some little kid got, or they actually, I don't think the comments were on the YouTube video. Cause I mean, I'll try to be kid friendly. So they found me up via social media and just,
Of course.
and I was like, dang, I mean, you can't make everybody happy. And I get it. I mean, the NPFL wants their image. I mean, the Bassmasters and MLF, they're just as much worried about their image as anybody else too.
Well,
And I think
it,
one of the problems is that you can, like, with Bassmasters, MLF, and they can all read the comments now, so they can see
yeah.
what everybody's thinking.
Yeah, in this case, and I don't want to harp on it too much, and I might delete this out of it just to be honest. But in this case, I think, and I said this when the conversation that I had was probably one of the worst conversations I've ever had with someone.
Really?
And I was told that I was going to get my butt kicked, not saying butt, but something else. And I said, imagine if Boyd Duckett wrote that exact same statement and posted it. And you can do things inside the organization for not everyone to know, and then do things where it's public. And then you have to realize if you put it out in public, it is going to be, it's open for yes or no. I
Yeah.
like it or I don't
Yeah.
like it. And I just
Yeah.
felt like that was a statement that you don't put out for everybody, especially
I
right
got you.
now when there were so many people. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, and that's unfortunate. I think that, I mean, and a lot of times people get. I think a lot of problems, and I'm so guilty of this. Is that we judge too quickly and sit back and think about it.
I would
And I mean,
agree.
I'm human. We're all human.
We are.
And that's the other thing too is like I've had a lot of people like contact me ready for me just to bash MLF, and I'm like, look, man, I'm not going to do that because first and foremost, like you see this book right here.
Yeah.
That's the McLean's fishing encyclopedia right there. If it was not for that book, I probably would not know how to read. Boy, growing up with ADHD, I could read all day long about fishing, but when it come to what I was supposed to read. But anyways, there's another book that's more important, and it's called the Holy Bible. And forgiveness is what Christians are. It's one of the things they base the whole religion on. And so,
Amen.
like, that's how I look at it. Is like, if I was, you're holding a grudge to them, and I mean, granted, I haven't been burned like some of the other anglers have, so my grudge is a little bit different. I don't have a grudge against MLA or any of them really. At matter, and I mean, I've had issues with anglers that we're great friends now. And so that's the hard. That's one of the things that's, and like I said, our industry is so small. I mean, it would only, it would only help your brand to get on their graces,
Oh,
and vice versa. I mean, that would help them 100%. I mean, I feel like that you kind of, from my buddies that watch you, kind of lean MLF a little bit more than Bass. Like you definitely, and I mean, and I'm a MLFer. I've always been an MLFer. So, or
I will
since
agree with you.
I'm a pro. Yeah, and I mean, and what they've done is kind of different. It's unique, but ultimately, us the fan and us the fisherman, we all fish a traditional 5 fish format, in the real world, and so I kind of, as time has progressed, it seems like that people like relate to something that they can relate to
Yeah.
more.
I mean, I don't mean to take a shot at Randy. I mean, there's a group of people that love him.
Oh,
There's a
yeah. Oh,
group
you
of
talking about
people that
Uncle
hate him.
Randy? You talking about
Randy
Uncle
Blofeld.
Randy? Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. That's what we call him, Uncle Randy.
Oh, okay. And I've said it. I respect that man's work ethic more than anything. I know how hard I work to put out one video a day. And I'm one of these people that I believe that giving people a second, third, fourth chance is perfectly fine. But you have to also, if you're going to give somebody a thing, they also need to give you a thing. And I've been hypercritical about MPFL and Bass and MLF. I mean,
you're doing your job.
At ICAST, I went over to Boyd Duckett in front of everybody, in front of Kathy and Charity and Joseph, and I said, if you change anything, I am going to blow up. Don't do anything different anymore. Stop making changes. And I was really adamant about it. But at the same time, I've done the same thing for all of them, for Bass and for things. And I would agree with you saying that maybe I'm more MLF based. But the reason is I get a response from MLF. And I don't get a response from with Bass.
Yeah, I mean, the MLF's great at that.
And, I try to be even keeled.
I agree with you. You are. I would just say, from what I've seen, I'm all, look, I love it all. Bass fishing is bass fishing. And the thing is, I don't want anybody to struggle. I want there to be enough slices of the pie for everybody. Come take off. I'm your competitor. After that, man, dude, I'll help you strap your boat up. I want everybody to get paid, and that's the problem. One of the problems now with the industry is, dollars, everything's changed. And it seems that like I'm a mason. If I was to price a stone job wrong, too cheap, I can't kill my health for me to survive or thrive, essentially. And what's happening now is like it's changed so much in the past few years. At one time, we as anglers were competing to be at these platforms. It seems that they're running out of us, and they're now competing for us. And that's kind of what was going along there at the Tackle Warehouse and the NPFL. Like it just seems like to me, you can count how many professional anglers are now if you just go through all the tours. And I really thought long and hard about just fishing the opens. And, I've always wanted to go to Bass. And I have a couple buddies of mine said that, Martin, you've made it so far, you'd owe yourself to try to qualify for Bassmasters. And I agree with that. However, me being an MLFer and watching the EQs, and I'm not here talking smack on bass. I'm just talking through a lens of a blue collar bass fishing. One of the biggest problems with our industry right now. So perfect example. You remember when the EQs came out the first year when they had to fish all 9, I think they had 175 or 80 guys commit to that whole thing. We want well-rounded angling. So you can't just win a division and get in or, finish in 3 tournament divisions. Well, they had 180 guys. Next year they had 75, 80. And the opens payout, nobody's claiming it's great. I'll say it like that.
It's terrible.
Oh, the EQs blew my mind. And really the last 3 EQs kind of just scares me.
Yes.
And the thing is everybody's out trying to grab their own little bit. Like I said about the social media and how it's man, you ain't got to watch Wheelers. You ain't got to watch them at MLF. I mean, everybody loves Wheelers. You're going to watch them. And, I'm an angler, man. But you don't, it's the same thing with bass, so back to saying, as a blue collar bass fisherman, you're trying to chase the dream. If they had 3 divisions, I could go fish 9 opens and have 3 shots making the elites. Guarantee you, where do you think I would be? And where do you think everybody else would be? The EQs are making people look for other ways. And this is what I was getting at. And I told White River this. I had a long conversation with Lauren Geyser about this one time. If I could just show up and fish the Northern Opens, I could not get paid I could lose my butt every tournament, finish dead last, but I can still work my full-time job. I can soak that up. And instead of finding out in 1 or 2 years with the EQs the way it is that you're not going to make it in the NFL, I can chase that dream for 15 years. That's 15 bass boats I bought. That's 15 sets of Lowrances I bought, 15 power poles. And that's where we're losing it. And so the longevity of the help, you can't cut the fingers and toes off of us. And so I get it. They're all struggling for money in their own rights. And any of them that said they're not telling you the truth. So that's the world of bass fishing. So what I've come to, and so like Gray Buck and I, him and I and Ron roomed, had a great time. And I talked to Gray this week, and I mean, I feel terrible for him. Like, he was there. And and guys, for all you guys watching, follow Gray Buck. That dude is an upstanding guy. He's a great fisherman. I mean,
unbelievable dude. Unbelievable dude.
And while you go and follow him, just maybe come check me out a little bit too. I'm a goofball. But if you want to follow a blue collar bass fisherman, that's me. But anyways, for all of this to happen, if they were just to go back, to me, there's no way that the Bassmaster Opens numbers were better now than they were 3 years ago. I don't believe it. You just handed off all that co-angler money. That to me is like, whoa, like that's free money right there.
I agree.
And for them to say it was COVID, I mean, that's their belief. I mean, I fish co-angler tournaments. I'm good friends with probably the best co-angler I think he's the most winning co-angler in FLW, David Williams. And him and Lenny Bear, they're the sticks on the Potomac. You ain't beating them boys. And they're what we call pro-cos. They just ride around, win money off the back of everybody else's boats. Those dudes will get you. However, we know a little transducer is kind of stopping that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, I just think that we got to be realistic on the angler's pocket as much as the tournament trails pocket. And that's where we're losing it. And you lose another 50, 75 professional anglers, the professional tournament world is going to be in a hurt.
I would agree. I have a video coming out, and I would love to know your opinion on this. And I just want to say, everyone, go to @MartinVillaFishing on Instagram and follow him. This has been more enlightening than I could have imagined. We need to do more of these conversations. That's the truth.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it, man.
I'm going to start bothering you. No offense. I'm going to start bothering Gray, by the way.
You got any questions? I have insight. Like I said, you're not looking at it through the lens of a trust funder. You're not looking at, I'm the blue collar bass fisherman, man. I'm a stonemason, man. Yeah, that's what it is.
So I have a video that I might take some grief on. It isn't meant to make grief or stir the pot or anything, but I am now starting to question if we don't have an integrity problem within the sport and the hobby. With not only the fan engagement, but that there's just the lack of transparency that isn't happening through the organizations. And with, it's great that this is enlightening that you're willing to speak out about certain things, good, bad, indifferent, doesn't matter. But I'm starting to question if we don't have an integrity problem right now. What do you think?
This is what I think,
especially with all the cheating and stuff that's going on,
man,
and the
disqualifications. And look, man, to me, my opinion with the whole Bassmaster polygraph thing, I feel like they're just, and that's just from me outside. I'm not inside. I'm not hearing the complaints. I'm not hearing there. But so we were talking about bass. It seems like they're over. Like nobody wants the bad publicity.
Yes.
And I mean, if you look at what's going on in the bass world versus the basketball world, it's not even a comparison. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And I do agree that there is issues. It's not everywhere. It comes and goes too, I believe. And I mean, I'll also say that not all rules are equal. And, if you've ever taken polygraphs, A lot of it depends on who's giving that polygraph. And so, we sign these contracts. Essentially, I'll tell you something. This is essentially, and this is the truth. Bassmasters, the NPFL, MLF fully reserve the right to turn a blind eye to it too. It's their product. And so, like, I mean, the people that I'm around, they're not. My own roommate turned me in at Toledo Bend, and I mean, it was a 100% mistake. The biggest mistake that was made was we just didn't talk about it first. And I took a polygraph the next day, passed it with flying colors, and it was over. We had the day on, day off, and I was accused. There was somebody else out there that had the same color boat, and he just thought he saw me. And I get it. If you see something, you can't unsee it. And so he's like, "Hey, man, I saw you in the water." I'm like, "See me?" And actually, the funny thing was I do the cooking in our house. So like back to last year, the day on, day off, 3 days of practice, because I did all the cooking for Gray and Ron. And we were at Toledo Bend, and I went down to the store, and I saw this guy selling shrimp out of his cooler. And I'm from Virginia. I love seafood. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna go over and get some shrimp. And anyways, this one guy was there. He bought all of the shrimp. It was like hundreds of pounds of it. And I was like, dude, I can't just buy one. He's like, no, he bought it all. I come by that store 10 minutes later. The guy bought it all with counterfeit money.
Oh.
And I told him, I said, hey, man, if you can get a hold of that shrimp, I'll buy it from you. But back the whole integrity thing, man. We're all human. That's the sad part about it, and it just turns people from it. Man, at every level, there's somebody trying to get an edge, and there's a
human
fine
nature.
line. Yes, it is. The thing is I saw David Dudley said something on a podcast. It was about the Cayuga thing.
Okay.
And I wasn't there. I got my own opinion about that, but my opinion is not worth anything because I wasn't there. I wasn't there in the meetings. But he said everybody was mad about him putting his foot, or you're putting your foot next to the line and fishing. And like, that 3-pointer on the sideline, right at the edge, you're still in. He's like, you have this line. As long as you're in on this line, you're good. As soon as you step on that line, step over, you're bad. Well, there's no real great way to enforce it. You have to take everybody's word for it. I will say that co-anglers stop a lot of it. Marshals stop a lot of it. And, it's a sad little corner of our sport. It's always been around. It's been going on. There's this saying is, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I mean, that's not, it's like same thing with hunting. Man, the modern day spotlighter is just a thermaler. These coyote hunters nowadays that don't ever post pictures of coyotes, but all of a sudden have these 5 and 6-year-old whitetails. It's, to each his own, essentially. However, I love the bass fishing for the sport of it. I love the hunting for the sport of it. So thermaling up one of those things up there, it's like snagging a 12-pounder off the bed and putting it on your wall. Same thing. There's a certain group of people that think that's okay, and there's the others that don't. And there's no real way to weed them in and out. And like I said, man, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. I remember, that whole, what was it, Sprague incident, right?
Yeah.
Before then, I like Jeff Sprague. And, he's apologized. We all are human. I mean, some people will continue to make mistakes, others won't. But, and I'm glad Sprague's there. I learned a lot this year from fishing against Sprague. And I'll tell you what, Sprague's a beast. That dude don't care about no sonar. That dude's a beast. And I learned that this year. And, we all have our ideas of what's right and wrong. And I like to think that the majority of the anglers in this world have that same view.
I would agree. I think there's just a handful,
Yes,
or maybe a few more than a handful, that seem to want to skirt the line. And I think when you put in competition and money and human nature, and you do all those things come together, and with the stress of, there's a lot of people that are trying to be financially, stable in professional fishing. The problem is that, as you know,
Yeah.
sponsors are taking back money.
Yeah.
Payouts in most cases pretty much stink. I mean, no
I'm gonna
offense
say
to the
something.
EQs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of
Go
it, dude.
ahead.
All of it stinks. I mean, I'll say something. You know, for all you guys who always wonder if you get to the top tier, you know, the old saying was the sponsors will find you. That's so not wrong. I will say when I achieved the Bass Pro Tour level, MLF treated you differently, right? And there was a country club-esque feeling when I first got there. You know, all these boats here. I remember having mechanical issues. Bam, there's a boat waiting for you. They'll come pick you up to. It was like I remember last year at Eufaula, I led that thing. If that thing had only that thing lasted one day too long, I probably would have won that tournament when they pulled the water out. But I remember, I made the phone calls like, "Hey man, my boat's done." They're like, "Oh, we bring you something?" Like immediately, like they're just. And so that was a cool thing. But as far as the sponsorship goes, there was one entity that said, "Martin, we saw you made the Bass Pro Tour, and we want to help," and that was PowerPole. PowerPole is one of the greatest endemic companies in the sport of fishing, and their
Mhm.
customer service is unmatched. And I had a buddy of mine the other day. He's got I think it was a Garmin trolling motor almost, right? And I've used them all. I currently have them in Coda, but I'm sponsored by Loran, sponsored by PowerPole. I use them Move. My buddy, he's my team partner. He's got actually my Move on his boat, so I can use all of them. But anyways, my buddy was talking about, to make a long story short, he was talking about buying another trolling motor. He was like, "Man, what about that Lowrance?" And I said, "Well, I tell you what, if you're like a shoreline, like chatterbait guy, I said, there's not a better trolling motor than that. But honestly, if you have a Garmin, I said, and he didn't have power poles. I said, if you're thinking about getting a new trolling motor and you don't have power poles, do not get a new trolling motor. Those power poles are the most important thing you have on your boat. And I hadn't fished without power poles, being a professional angler for years. I fished a 2-day tournament at my home lake, Lake Anna, with one of my best friends, Tim's, and he doesn't have them on his boat. I'm telling you, if you don't have poles on your boat, it's a 100% disadvantage. And it wasn't for boat necessarily spot lock control; it's for stopping. The modern bass that
Yeah.
we have nowadays are so educated. As soon as they feel the aura of your boat, they're either going to run from you or run to you. And some fisheries,
Mhm.
they'll bite on your boat. Other fisheries, they laugh. And that fishery is
Mhm.
one of those fisheries that laugh at you. So I had several fish that I could have caught, and we were up fishing shallow. Could have caught if I had them poles, because I had to stop that boat. Granted, the poles at the bottom, they make a noise, but
Yeah.
the back flush is the worst thing. Honestly, to me, it's like when you send water to them fish, that's worse than any
Yeah.
sonar ping. That's like them just seeing you pretty much.
Greg and Brian Watts at PowerPole are completely underrated about how good of anglers they are. If you don't
Oh, I
know them,
guarantee it. I've
they
heard that.
used to they they dominated the Redfish Cup. When I used to
Mhm.
do the radio show, my goal was to have one of those two guys. They work for PowerPole. They are the nicest, greatest guys on earth, and they can flat out fish.
Well,
Them as a team on the Redfish Cup, it was stupid how good they were.
I mean, any company that's
Um,
got any involvement in that kind of, boat control. I mean, I expect the whole entire. I mean, I talked to Anthony Alvarez quite a bit, and that dude's ate up with
yeah,
saltwater fishing. I mean, he's always sending me pictures of Goliath, or not Goliath grouper, a gag grouper, and some other type of.
yeah,
And but that company, you know, I'm not going to. I've never used the Raptors, the Minn Kota version of it, but I know that just
mhm,
living here in Virginia and trying to get somebody working on Minn Kota, good luck. Power
yeah.
poles, man, they just that company is a step above the other ones. And like I said, man, for all you fans watching, the best way you can help the sport is by, I'm not saying just because you see him on somebody's jersey, use it. But I know that I'm beating a dead horse when I say that this is one of the best companies in fishing. And
I agree.
if you don't have them on your boat and you're thinking about putting something else on your boat, just get one at least. But I mean, when you have one, you're gonna want two. And I'll say another thing
Yeah,
too. Don't be that cheapskate when you go buy a new boat. They don't come like Angler's Choice. is the number one. We call them glitter sleds. You know, that's a great name for a bass boat. It's a glitter sled. And
I call it a glitter boat.
yeah, the old glitter sled to me, and English Choice is the number one glitter sled Ranger seller in the country. And you know, Virginia to Texas is what we call the Bass Belt. Which I don't know which side's the buckle, but you know, Virginia. Like I live in the Blue Ridge area, and actually, the Blue Ridge Bass Club was one of the first bass clubs ever. And if you go back to the old Hank Parker's day, you know, they were down here at Bug. The Classic was at James River 3 times. I mean, it's like rich in bass fishing history. But you go to English Choice now, you don't even get poles on that boat. And I'm gonna tell something. If you're gonna spend the money on a brand new boat, that dock that you go step on and off to, first ding on your boat, and you ain't gotta worry about that. I'll tell you that. It doesn't.
There's a lot of truth to that.
So, all right.
I had one on my I call my dinghy. I had a 16-foot waterman that drafted 3.5 inches of water. And for months, every time someone saw it, they thought that my boat had never touched the water. Because I would bring, this is going to show you how anal retentive I am and issues that I have. I would come home, and every time I went fishing, I would wash the boat and I would wax the boat.
Oh, the wax part, huh?
And then I had a buddy that was a guide, and he said, I'm going to make your life so much better by doing something. And I said, what is that? He took his key out and he keyed the side of my fiberglass waterman, and it left a gouge out of it.
Oh, God.
And I remember being so mad at him, but he said, what's going to happen now is, now that you have that scratch, you're not going to be afraid to run in 4 inches of water, and you're going to get back to those places that you're scared of.
The first cut hurts the most.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that you're going to NPFL, and
go ahead.
Keep going.
Yeah. So the NPFL,
I think it's a great place.
Fish the NPFL, like in 6 tournaments, and you know, hopefully I make the championship. So like, you know, kudos to those guys that are fishing the Bass Pro Tour or the guys who are fishing the elites, and that's 9 plus 6, that's 15 tournaments without championships. I felt like for Martin Villa,
and a lot of money.
Oh yeah, oh yes. And for Martin Villa with the beautiful woman and an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, 12-ish is like the perfect for me. Max 12. You know, so like the Bass Pro Tour is great. He had 7 plus some, you know, the thing about the Bass Pro Tour is their postseason, the team series were always like when you were kind of like forgetting about bass fishing. And those team series are awesome. Yeah. And back to the whole like the integrity part, the team series, they don't pay out like they used to. And you got the anglers that complain about it a little bit. And I wasn't there when they were winning $100,000. So like we could show up, you know, you just get paid to make a TV show is what it is. And I remember a couple of anglers, I'm not going to name who they were, but they were complaining about it. I said, well, the good thing about it being minimal amount of money is there's going to be minimal amount of cheating. I said, if you were all giving everybody $100,000, I said, you know, there might be somebody maybe willing to like go over the line a little bit. So the team series was, man, that was just the coolest thing. I've seen you talk about it. I've seen, you know, multiple times. To me, the team series was the best thing in bass fishing.
I agree with you completely.
I'll miss that the most when it comes to the Bass Pro Tour.
I think the one thing MLF has done right is the heavy hitters. If you qualify for heavy hitters, it's good. If you qualify for Red Crest, it's good. And then the team series. So it gives you a better opportunity to make more money as an angler. And I think that's really important. I think the championship, you need to make it a championship. You need to blow it out. I mean, I've had about this much, I say this all the time, I've had about this much influence on the dual threat fishing. But I've just tried to help Ethan as much as possible and just give him my opinions. It's not always what he wants to hear, but I've said, you know, this is this and this. And I'm looking forward to his stuff. But I think MPFL is a great place for people that don't want to deal with,
I agree.
And I am going to get in trouble for this, that don't want to deal with the bullshit.
I mean, I agree. It's just raw fishing. And honestly, like when everybody wanted to know what I was fishing, and everybody's like, you going to the NPFL, right? It wasn't like, are you going to go to the NPFL? Are you going to the NPFL? They're all like, You're going right. And I'm like, dang, like, and you know, their media package is growing. You know, I will say the MLF has the Bass Pro Tour had the best thing as far as they put the money in there. You know, it's not all commercialed out like another one.
Bass.
Or as bad. You know what I mean? And I get it, man. We all got everybody's got to make money. Bass is there not to hand out to give handouts. They're there to make money too. So we just got to thread the needle and try to evolve. The one thing I will say, the only constant in bass fishing is the change. And you know, ultimately,
I'm clipping that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I'm clipping that.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the only constant in there. And the cool thing that I like about the NPFL is, you know, it's just going back to that dirty old mud fishing. And I'll tell you, one of the struggles that I found one of the things that I had to deal with at the Bass Pro Tour level is like, you know, the first ad this year was at Conroe. It was like, whoa, you will win this off one period of scope. They shrunk it down, and I'll say this. This is not me saying excuse because I mean them dudes just beat me up. And I didn't fish I fished below my own par level. And the one thing I'll say, as far as like, you know, the Bass Pro Tour guys is, I mean, it's like, it's a dog eat dog world over there. Not that they're like chewing each other up, man, but if you can't catch them, you're going to know it. And, you know, it's the pros. So just because you're not catching them, they're going to catch them. And so, I mean, you know, the constant thing that's happening now, or the constant change is happening. And that's one of the problems that I've always heard people talk about why they don't like MLF is they can't keep up with it. And I mean, if you follow it, you can somewhat, but I mean, the 6-day tournaments, people like, and all my fans, I'll be honest with you, they'll tell you they didn't watch MLF. They watched it because I was there. And I didn't realize how much that was. And so, like, a lot of the guys being upset with the Bass Pro Tour going down to 50. And I mean, and that's their deal. I mean, this is their puppy. Was it you're sending guys and their platforms and their fans away? And I didn't really believe that until I realized that all my friends were watching MLF because I was there. And, you know, so the constant change in it, I mean, payouts change, entry fees change, the sponsorship change, the rules change. And I mean, a lot of it, like the rules dictate the success, you know, if you're allowed to use the great technology that the electronic companies come out, man, there's a group of younger anglers there that are ready to beat your head in. If you fishing in every fish catch format, there's a group of well-rounded, executed anglers ready to outcatch you.
Yeah.
If you are not allowing technology, superior technology in your sport, there's a bunch of old school, rough around the edges anglers ready to take your money. And so, you know, it's funny how the rules dictate the successors here. Ultimately, like I said at the beginning, I just want everybody to survive and thrive.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Dude, this is without question the most enlightening interview I've ever done. Well, I'm not joking. I'm gonna start harassing you. Not really, but I'm gonna try to do this. I would love to hear how,
man.
Yeah, I'd love to hear as your year goes on, do something once a month and just say, you know, what are your thoughts? How is it going?
Could you do a poll
and set that up?
Could you do maybe do a poll said, should Martin Villa go fish the tackle warehouse and requalify, or should Martin Villa go fish the opens? I am fishing the NPFL. What you were saying is it comes to where I want to be, right? Is that what you were going to say?
So, yeah, I'll just repeat it. So I'll put up that poll, but doesn't that come down to scheduling? Because, and hear me out.
It does.
So if you're, and I'm questioning this on a few people. If you're fishing, I'm just going to be honest. You have Rubanis and Littner that I definitely know are going to NPFL, but they've also committed to, and they've committed to the pro circuit. But there's 3 tournaments or 2 plus a championship that conflict with each other. Now, NPFL, I thought it was 3. Hold on.
On the Tackle Warehouse?
I thought, yeah, with the pro circuit, and
I thought it was just one
so
of the
you have.
Indies.
So you have March, you have NPFL on Harris Chain, and the Tackle Warehouse on Pro Circuit on Wheeler.
But is the Harris Chain, have they said the dates for the NPFL yet?
Yeah, that's 19th through 21st.
Oh, so they did.
That's
So,
what
all
they
right,
said.
so it is 2 then. Yeah, that's the issue. You're gonna have to eat one of those entry fees. That's the problem with it.
No, you'll have to. I think you'll have to eat.
No, see, it's the last one, and it's because and maybe I shouldn't say this over the air, but I called Kevin Hunt, talked to him. I'm just straightforward, and I'm gonna say the staff at MLF I love. The marshals there, everybody, man, the MLF, the FLW, essentially, those people right there, whether it's
Are
the
great.
Toyotas, yeah, man, they're there to help you. And I mean, we had like last year, I was going to fish the Rayburn Tackle Warehouse after Toledo, and then my better half had a miscarriage, and it was like
Oh, I'm
5
very
o'clock,
sorry to hear that.
4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Lord decided with it 2 was enough, and one day I'll meet that third child in heaven.
Yeah.
But
Very sorry to hear that.
yeah, and it affects us differently than the women. And I was just more worried about her than I was
Yeah.
the
And
female.
may God bless her.
Yeah, yes. So I mean, it was like as soon as I got that, I didn't even. I mean, like I got the phone call 5 in the morning, and I mean, I put that truck drove 90 mile an hour from Texas to Virginia. And there was a time when I didn't there was like 4 or 5 hours I couldn't talk to her, and she was bleeding real bad. And I mean, the whole head was going on. And I mean, I made one phone call to Kevin. I was like, Kevin, I mean, I didn't even get it halfway out of my mouth. He said, go, do not worry about us. And, and I mean, obviously you have to eat the deposit, obviously, but they fully understand. We're ready there for call me nonstop. They're great people. And I imagine this is the same over at Bass and the same over at NPFL. We're all the working class people. We're just there to get along to make a dollar.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what the thing is, this been like a musical chair shuffle of bass fishing. You got people like I said, we're all trying to qualify for the BPT, and then you got guys like, we're going, like just giving it up. They're like, what? Like what? Like, I don't understand this. And then you starting to see the guys from Bass, like, it just seems like to me people are, and maybe that was part of the problem with Tackle Warehouse is when they made it so you didn't have to qualify for it. You got rid of the exclusivity of it. People would have come back if they knew they couldn't get back in.
Yeah.
And so
my question.
Go ahead.
And sorry. Well, my question is so the NPFL and the Pro Circuit have 3 conflicts.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to fish the championship. I just for my own selfishness, I was hoping they weren't going to get to the 124, just because I wanted to jump in. Because like I said, 6 is not enough for me. And plus, the NPFL is pretty much they're starting a little bit later than the rest of them. So I'm like, man, some of the best fishing in the country is January and February. And so, the opens, the Eastern Division collides. I'd have to miss a practice. The only way for me, the Eastern Division for it to work was I'd have to, if I was to make day 3, I would not even fish day 3 of that open. I would drive, no practice, fish the NPFL. And I was like, really, do I want to do that? Do I really want to put myself in that position? So I finally had to sit down and make a decision. I was like, you know what? If they're going to 100 cut, I want to fish the NPFL. I want to test the waters. Everybody says they love it. So I'm going to go over here and try it. If next year is the year that I have to go somewhere else, or if the opportunity opens up for me to fish the NPFL and something else I want to, I'm going to try to fish whatever I can. Now, the Western Division the Central Division doesn't with it, right? You have those numbers.
I don't think so.
That's the one.
My whole thing is. Oh yeah. My question is, how do those anglers, if you have 2 events on the same weekend, how do you decide which event you're going to fish? Because you're going to have to pay for both.
I know.
And I don't know how. I just don't know how it. I don't understand it. That's the craziest thing that I have. I just don't understand, and it's so much money.
It is. And I mean,
So, and where do you go? Okay, I'm going to fish the pro circuit here, or the
yeah,
MPFL
yeah,
here, or the
I know.
opens,
That's
or
why
whatever
I
it is.
I still have not fully solidified what I'm fishing, other than I'm fishing the NPFL. And I mean, I get it. They didn't want to collide with the BPT and Bassmaster, so you have no choice. I tell you,
I agree with that.
the tournament that's going to hurt me the most on missing is the Potomac River Toyota. There'll be 2 years in a row that I missed that derby.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, that's one of my home turfs right there. I know how to catch the big ones there. A luxury. I'm a tidal water guru. And so it really bothered me. And I thought about just maybe plucking around on a few of the Toyotas. I kind of like the minimized scope. Like, I mean, granted, I wish the NPFL would have like 3 and 3, but that's their puppy. That's their business. I'm here to fish their rules. But I like the minimal amount of scope. I can fish both ways. It seems like this year, I prayed on it and everything. It just seems like I'm gonna go. I applaud the NPFL for making that move, and I'm gonna go support them at least for one season. And hopefully, it's so great that I don't want to leave, and I'll have to
yeah,
find a way. So it's likely that I'm gonna fish that in that division of opens. Now, I'm not trying to drive 15 hours to 18 hours, 15 to 20 hours for every tournament. But I look at it as like, well, just 4 opens versus them guys that are fishing 9 elites and that. So the issue back to the opens is it starts so early, it ends so late, and it still comes down to everything that they said that it wasn't, that they didn't want, was one division. It come down to you just got to catch them in that 1-3 tournament division. It just seems like to me it's instead of $6,000 in entries for one division, you got to pay 18.5, and so that's weighing on a lot of people, including myself. And I just feel like
yeah,
there's people that have probably fished the opens a couple of years that are like, thank God there's a $10,000 check over at Tackle Warehouse.
yeah.
That's what it is.
How much? How in with for you? How much does looking at the payouts and how far down they pay come
That
into
means
play when you're looking?
that's everything. Sustainability.
It is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
See, I look at something that's not sustainable and I'm like, oh, I mean, that's why I saw the writing on the wall, the Bass Pro Tour at Heavy Hitters. It was like, man, hold on. Like, yeah, I could catch them and I could have a great season. But at 25 places against those hammers, you can have a bad season and suck it up and still catch them. The thing is like getting paid at the Bass Pro Tour level or making the knockout round and not getting paid is sometimes just like 2 or 3 fish. It's so
Yeah.
tight. It's so tight. And the thing is like you see this gray. This was not here before the Bass Pro Tour. And I mean, I'm not compensated for that stress. I thrive off that stress too. But it come at the point in time where I was like, man, this is a lot of unnecessary worrying. And I'll tell you the other thing too. Ron Nelson said this.
I get to.
Ron said this to me. He said, Martin, he's like, I don't remember those fish catches. And I was like, it's so true. Like that 2-day local derby I fished at the lake. And I mean, don't get it twisted. This is not me just going down here beating up on some guys. Those guys, the Elite Series at Lake Anna, those guys are ready to take your money. And everybody's learned nowadays. There's a little super scoper kid at every lake ready to take your money. And I was one of the things like with kudos for the Tackle Warehouse to eliminate the cherry picking, because the cherry pickers of 10 years ago, the pros come up and usually proed them. Now there's a bunch of dial-in people ready to sonar your head in and take your money. And I know several anglers the past couple of years that have kind of left the tour essentially because they were in the Tackle Warehouse because they were funding, the tournament trails bills, but not getting compensated back because somebody there that just jumped in took their money.
Yeah.
And so I get that. But it's likely that I'm going to fish that Western Division. I love to make bass. I love to fish the Classic. Honestly, the payout structure that Bass has right now, like at first, I watched all the viral clips on everything when they come out and said that was a $500 checks, whatever that thing that happened at first. That was hilarious. And sometimes it might sound good until you actually say it. And obviously, look, kudos to Bass for recognizing that. And kudos for Bass for recognizing, with the forward shooting sonar. The fact that they eliminated it in practice told me something right there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's ultimately, and a lot of my sponsors are actually pushing me there too. Not that they didn't love me over MLF, and I loved MLF. Honestly, I just want to be able. I like to be able to fish multiple trails, but the need for me to be in one spot and the panic for losing my spot here or there has kind of gone away.
It'll make
And
fun
I just want,
fishing fun again.
I want, yeah, exactly. And, I really hope that the Bass Pro Tour, I recommend everybody go qualify for that Bass Pro Tour. Fish it. You will learn how to utilize your time. It's a tournament of execution. And after fishing that and going back to an 8-hour 5-fish format, I look at things differently. And I hope it's made me a better angler. And we'll find out here in the future. But, like I said, hang it. Follow me, guys. I'm going to fish a little bit of thing. You guys like dabbling in saltwater fishing, fly fish, the whole 9 yards. I mean, I'm an angler, not a bass fisherman.
I love it. Okay, everyone go check out Martin Villa YouTube channel,
Thanks, Steve.
Instagram, Facebook, everything.
Hey.
I'm going to hit stop here and just say thank you personally. So thank you again, man. And we're going to do this more often, I hope.
Yeah,
okay,
dude.
Hold
like
on.
I said, man, I watch you. And
I apologize you have to see this.
And I watch it, but I mean, dude, you want to come up and catch one of them cobes on the fly? I'd love to come down and catch a bonefish. You say you tarpon some or just
yeah, tarpon. I do everything. Hold on, I'm going to hit stop.